Hey everybody, this is Trish Kane, CEO and founder of Healerverse. Every single Friday at 10:30, we do a roundtable where we feature one of our amazing Healerverse practitioners. Today we have Kam Knight, who I actually met through like a businessy kind of group, and he's amazing. He's published so many books and he's helped so many people. What I'm really excited about for today is that I haven't really gotten the opportunity to fully get to know Cam.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited today that we get to know him a little bit more. Join us on 5dhealerverse.com. There's amazing practitioners there to work with. You can private message them, events and courses. Come heal with us. Everybody is welcome. And I'm going to turn it over to Cam. I will say that the Healerverse is the round table that we do is pretty cool actually. Every Friday it's completely open. You're basically allowed to say whatever you want. It's a no judgment zone, all love zone, and I am so excited to hear from you today,
Mhm.
Cam. Welcome.
All right, cool. So my name is Kam Knight. I am a coach, international speaker, and author of a dozen books, many of which you see behind me, in the area of mental, physical, and emotional performance that have sold over 500,000 copies and have over 10,000 ratings on Amazon. So my story that I share tends to depend on what I'm talking about. If it's mental performance, physical performance, or emotional, is very different. But today I want to kind of go more into the emotional side of things. So I'll talk about that story. And as far back as I can remember, I've had an unquiet mind. In fact, I actually remember having my first thoughts. I was jumping on the bed with my sister. I must have been like 1.5 years old, and giggling and laughing. And all of a sudden, thoughts began appearing. And it freaked me out. I didn't know where they came from, why they were there, and wanted nothing more than for them to leave. And unfortunately, they didn't leave, they only got worse. And so as I was growing up, my thoughts raced, they cycled as well as skipped from one to another. And when people hear this, they immediately think ADHD. And what I say is, I wish it were only that simple, because my emotions also cycled intensely. One minute I'm feeling one way, and another minute something completely different. Some days I'm lethargic, barely able to get out of bed. Other days hyper and out of control. And when people hear that, they think bipolar. And I say, I wish it were that simple too, because I was essentially changing states constantly. I often remember seeing the dazed look on people's eyes when one of these shifts would happen because they were so confused by how one minute I'm acting one way and another completely different. And I didn't know at the time, but I am extremely sensitive to anything that's not whole and organic. So when I moved to the US, everything is processed, especially what's given to kids. And processed food is like a hard drug to me. It makes my thoughts race, emotion cycle, and it floods my body with intense amount of energy and even electricity. So imagine giving a child a hard drug 3 meals a day in and day out, week after week, month after month. By the time I was an adult, I was practically out of my mind. And to cope as an adult, I cycled through various medication. And, the standard theme of that is people tend to not want to be on them. And for me, I remember the dosage needed to be upped regularly. And I thought to myself, I was out on a very slippery slope because eventually I'll get to a point where I need to be on meds just to be where I was when I started. So I took myself off, and I didn't do it gradually, but abruptly. Yeah, bad move. I more or less lost all control of my mind and myself. And the best way to describe it is, have you ever seen those, people on the streets, homeless, talking to themselves, all erratic and, intense in their behavior? Well, I was almost there, but the difference was I was aware. And because I was aware, I could do something about it. And so I went on this long journey, traveling to over 100 countries to do this work and figure things out. And in that time, I came across a lot of information. And A lot of things were helpful and they were all stepping stones. And once I finally realized it was food, I was able to change my diet. But the challenge was I'd already done a lot of damage internally, in my mental and emotional self, and I needed a way to release it. And so, more or less, I developed a method called the Kam Knight Method that helps people go essentially deep into their core to release their deepest emotional wounds and their deepest heartaches and heartbreaks to live an even better life. And for entrepreneurs, this is very effective in helping them get past the glass ceiling that they are living within. And I know that term gets used in terms of females in the business world, but it applies to all of us. We all have a glass ceiling that we really can't push past, whether that shows up in public speaking, going online and becoming visible, or taking it to the next level. And so with this technique, it's really great. And the reason I'm here up in the mountains is because my sensitivity actually goes beyond processed food. It's also just all the toxins in the air in big cities, the fumes from the cars, industry, all of that. And I didn't realize that was part of the equation too. So now I'm up in the mountains where the air is cleaner, and I'm not fully away from it, but at least it's a lot better than where I was before.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. I think a lot of us can relate to that. I can relate to that in my
Yeah,
experience. Similarly, like 4 years ago, I stopped eating meat. I started eating very clean.
yeah,
And yeah, I can't eat rice. I
yeah,
cannot eat rice. It takes my breath away, actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably the rice that you're eating because I thought I had eaten rice until I discovered what rice actually looks and tastes like. Fortunately, there's a farmer's market here by the Lees, and they're an Asian couple from Laos, and they grow all heirloom, which is a higher level than organic. In fact, organic isn't even that organic. And I tried their rice, and when you get real rice, like heirloom rice, it's not white rice that's bleached or whatever. It's actually much puffier. It actually tastes like sugar-free gummies. I know.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
It was amazing rice. And they can only grow it in a certain part of the year. Amazingly, they grow it in North Carolina. And so when the season ends, I usually buy like pounds and pounds of it so I can have it for the rest of the year. And I mean, it's hard to even describe because it's chewy because a lot of the rice that we're eating is dry. It's not white because a lot of that white rice that we eat is bleached, and it has this flavor. And yeah, so anybody I've introduced that rice to has loved it.
Can you believe they bleach rice? Like, you're not supposed to bleach stuff. Look what happens to our clothes when it
Yeah,
accidentally gets on our clothes,
yeah,
on our, furniture or something. It ruins it. So, can you
yeah,
imagine?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. I want to say one thing because you were saying how you've changed your diet as
Yeah.
well, and I'm sure you feel better, you look better, like your skin complexion is a lot more vibrant. And when I come across or work with people who are having challenges, the first thing, even though I do the emotional work, the first thing is I look at diet. And what I realize is it's really hard to have to convince somebody to change their diet. And here in this culture, it's actually quite wild because people will try everything first. Like they will go out of their way, spend tons of money, and break their backs trying to heal an ailment before with everything like expensive medications, expensive procedures, all of that before going to diet. And even though I can tell them and try to be very convincing of it, in fact, I even created a book on how to think about what you put inside your body with the exact products that I think that I recommend and why and links. So there isn't any effort in finding it. They won't even touch it. And they'll essentially put themselves through a lot of pain and misery. And even there's a phrase in certain personal development called rock bottom. Even when they hit rock bottom, they won't look to diet, which is mind-boggling to me, mind-boggling. And it's so normal and it's so common.
I agree with all this. How do we get your books? Like, and
Yeah.
is there a digital version of the diet one? Because I would love to be able to have that digitally and to be able to continue to research on there and look for stuff.
Yes. You know what? I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that book is only digitally because
Great.
it has links to the exact products I recommend. So I
Perfect.
wanted to make it as easy as possible. So people can go to mindlily.com/health and the book will open up and it goes into painstaking detail about what to think about all parts of your diet, from water, from groceries, where to shop for groceries, even rice. I recommend good brands of rice. Obviously, the leaves aren't on
Great.
there because they're from the farmer's market, but I wanted to give people options that they can get from the stores, nuts, seeds, snacks, everything.
Yeah.
And eventually, I'm going to expand it to not just what you put in your body, but what you put on your body. Because a lot of people are using lotions and perfumes and different soaps and shampoos, and it's just chemical ridden. Like I have a soap and it has one ingredient, bone tallow. And it not only cleans, but it also moisturizes. Most soap has a bunch of chemicals and it might clean, but then it'll leave your skin dry. And then what do? You put on lotion with another bunch of chemicals. And that is affecting our complexion and how we look and things of that nature. And then you can go down this rabbit hole pretty deep. And unfortunately, I was forced to because of my sensitivities. And in a way, it was a blessing in disguise because I got to learn about things and it forces me to stay on the straight and narrow because, you see the state of the mental, emotional, and physical health right now of people. And it's probably some of the worst it's ever been, especially with the younger generation. The younger generation are getting on meds a lot sooner. They're having a lot more anxiety and emotional problems a lot earlier. And I think there are many causes, but I think one of the root of it is diet. And it's a more important one because even if we have issues with other causes, if we can fix the diet part, it helps heal the other parts as well.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And yesterday or the day before, somebody actually reached out to me and said that there's a woman struggling with sugar addiction. Is that something that you'd be able to help them with?
Yeah.
Great.
So,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah.
The addiction part is my one-on-one work, the Kam Knight
Mm-hmm.
Method.
Yes.
It's so the work is really cool because
Yeah.
it's not coaching, it's not advice giving. I guide people into their unconscious mind and we do the work in there. And now when people hear that, they think of NLP or hypnosis, and it's neither. It's actually very different. The person is fully conscious and they get to see exactly what's in their unconscious, what's driving the behavior. And our behaviors come from many reasons. It could come from our upbringing, it could come from different events, but it can also just come from things that are become habituated. And with this method, we can go in and get it to the exact root of it and remove the effects of the past or the habits. So there's no fighting or struggling with it. It just doesn't come up. So a great example would be a person who struggles with an addiction, whether sugar or something else. There's always an impulse coming up to do that thing. And then we have to resist that impulse. And resisting can take a lot of effort. And unfortunately, the impulse never stops. So we have to constantly be on guard for when it comes up and then to kind of push against it. But if the impulse never comes up, there's nothing to fight. And in a lot of ways, that's what I do. And I want to stress that it's one-on-one, meaning we humans are extremely complex. The human mind and body are really the pinnacle of complexity in the known universe. And so no one person can know every facet of your issue. Even if a person was studying human behavior since they were born until they died, they would just scratch the surface of understanding all the challenges that there are. In fact, if you think about it, there's millions of psychologists around the world understanding human behavior, and we're still just scratching the surface. And so when I was doing my work, I was coming across a lot of people telling me your issue is this or your issue is that. And I would follow their advice, and either I wouldn't get results or it left me more to be desired. And I thought to myself, if my issue is in my head, why not just go there for the answers? And that's what we do, is go into the unconscious, see where the issues are. And the reason I say we work on the emotional level is because everything is emotional. So our negative limiting beliefs, it's not actually a statement in our head. It's actually an emotional response. It's a feeling of undeserving, feeling of being not enough that all of our desires filter through. Even of our impulses, it isn't like an action. It's an emotional response that forces us to act a certain way. And if we can release the emotions around it, we can release the underlying thoughts and behaviors to the point where there isn't battling against it anymore. It just doesn't come up.
That's really beautiful. And there are more mental health problems in the world than ever at this moment. And there are not enough people to help. And that's what I love about Healerverse too, is that people can work with you and other practitioners and really get that one-on-one love and support and kindness and compassion and healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so cool because, it started with you getting to know yourself and healing yourself, and you continue to heal yourself. And the fact that you acknowledge, hey, I'm sensitive, and that's such a beautiful thing about you and about a lot of us, that you're like, I'm going to go move to the mountains because this is what I need for myself. And,
Yeah.
and to having that courage to be able to go do that, I honestly commend you for that. That's amazing, and celebrate you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the challenges to having something that I have, or a struggle that someone's going through, is unless another person is going through it, they can't understand what you're going through. And it's kind of wild, but if I were to say I overcame cancer, everyone would be like, oh, wow, that's so great. But when I talk about this sensitivity and the level of effort that it took to get to this point and the amount of pain that I experienced until I got to this point, nobody really understands. It's like crickets. Even in the communities where we met, I could talk about it and a person won't even say, oh, wow, that's tough, or sorry you had to go through that. It's just like, literally, they won't say anything. And in a way, it's also a blessing in disguise, because I realized the people who are real and the people who are real and sensitive and the people who are almost, I don't want to say sociopathic, but very whatever, is when I tell them that and how they respond. It's like right away I can know. If they don't say anything, if they don't even acknowledge it, it's like, oh, wow, you're actually a narcissist. Huh? And it's hard to say it that way. I don't mean to use that word, but even though they might come off like, oh, I'm very helpful and generous, which in the industry, there's a lot of people. If I pick up, I get nothing from that, then I'm like, maybe not. But if I do get something like what you're saying, it's like, oh, wow, okay, this person can understand someone else's struggle. So, no, I'm not saying that I do that all the time as well, because we all have our challenges and we all come across people who are going through stuff. And a lot of times we just don't know where they're at. So we don't know how to respond. And so, yeah.
Isn't it interesting that God sometimes sends in the light workers into the 3D situations, and then people don't even know what to do with us because we glow the whole place up? But it takes so much out of us. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, well, what are we doing here? Right? And are we really supposed to be here, or should we just go back with the other sensitive light workers? You know what I
Ah,
mean? And that is like, you know, this roundtable is about you, but I feel like a lot of people might be able to relate to this. But I had a little bit of like a like not like a crisis, but like in the new year, I did like a month by month recap of what I did last year. And I sat there and I said, what did I do all year? Like, what even is this? Do I want to continue to do this going forward? Right?
yeah.
Does this serve me? And if it serves others ultimately, like, right? Because like we're obviously here to serve others, but how are we going to do that if things are continuously draining us?
Yeah. And there's a challenge to it because we want to serve others. We want to help people get through what we went through. And one of the challenges is even helping them understand that you have the solution. Because right now we're living in a time where everyone is pitching some sort of product or service or solution. And I'll be honest, I've traveled to over 100 countries, but in the place that we're at, never have I been to a place where they're just so good at selling. And a person can put a lot of time in craft building their expertise in selling and not actually servicing or providing value. And so a lot of
Mm,
people get, caught up in all these results that are promised. They don't get the results. And then it jades them. So when another person comes with a service and solution, even though they might have something that works and it's good, they have a hard time, believing or buying into it. And so that's one of the challenges. The other challenge, it slipped my mind. If it comes, I'll say it, is yeah, it slipped my mind. But yeah, it. Oh yeah, the other challenge is we obviously can't do it for free. As even if we wanted to do it for free, people. I mean, I give my book away for free. Try to give away my sessions if a person really needs it. But there's something that happens when it's free. They just don't value it. They don't receive it to the level they can. And almost always, it doesn't give the result than a person who's willing to, you know, put more investment into it. And
yeah.
so that is another challenge. And then a lot of people, they just don't want to go there. They want the solutions, but they just don't want to do what the solution is going to cause or it's going to need. And what I'm finding a lot is people are just saying, just give me the pill, just give me the pill. And yeah, so
Give me like that fire energy. Give me that like that masculine energy, that like really quick fix. But like
yeah,
ultimately, I love what you shared before, Kim, because you spoke about how you got to know yourself and you realized, hey, like I'm not like everybody else.
yeah,
And that is your superpower, you know, and to be able to take people through one on one, like writing books to be able to
yeah,
gift to the world. And I am full on like and fully supportive of practitioners and healers and coaches getting paid
yeah,
because literally you're giving your energy and like yeah, and it's so important for you to be compensated
yeah.
for what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that, for seeing that I'm different. Because again, when people like us are out in the world, it can feel like, oh, we're doing something wrong,
Yeah.
and going through what you went through
No,
in the
we're
beginning of the
not doing
year.
anything wrong.
Yeah, like I went through that too this year. I'm like, okay, I have built up my books. I have my offering on. I also talk about internal resistance, and now I have this one-on-one thing, and I'm there. Now it's time to go out and really push this versus building it. And it's like, do people want it? Am I being a little too, what's a word, out of the norm? Because it's easy to feel very out of the norm with this. So
Yeah. You're not out of the norm, and actually you are Healerverse. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Literally.
yeah,
Like that's how you found me and I found you basically, because
yeah.
there's millions of us out there. You know what I mean? Hundreds of thousands and millions. And are you a projector in human design by any
You
chance?
know, it's interesting. Because we're in the space and human design is actually quite popular in the conscious and the healing space. And oftentimes people are always asking me about human design. I don't have the exact date of my birth. And people will say to me, yeah, but you don't need it. I'm like, listen, I have seen people who are very close to have close birthdays be told they're completely different types. And I don't want to guess my birthday to figure out that I'm not the type that I am, whatever. But yeah, I can't say I know exactly where I stand in the human design. What would a
When is
projector
your
be?
when is your approximate birthday, not having to do with human design?
May 30th.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Love that.
yeah.
Love
Wait,
that.
you're May too, right? Or
No,
no?
I'm February 8th.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Aquarius. Full on
yeah.
Aquarius.
Yeah, I did want to take a moment to talk about both because the reason
Please.
we met at a business event, but then we connected because I put a post on my social media last
Yes.
October.
Yes.
Yes, 10 years sober.
Yes.
And
Congratulations.
yeah, and you were what, about 10 years as well, or 11 at that point?
Yeah, I'm at 11 years, 4 months, and 5 days or something.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
so yeah, the 10 year was a big milestone, and I don't really post much on social media. In fact, I didn't really even comment on anybody who replied to my post, just because I wasn't on social media. But that was a really like kind of connected us being in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was so cool because I think we met at first at Bill Walsh's event, and then
Yes.
we met at Julio's house.
And then I met
And
Julio's host. Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
And
so
both
proud of
great
you.
guys, Bill
Yeah,
Walsh and Julio. And that
yeah,
was fun. And then I posted that and you reached out. I want to add to that 2 months
sure.
later, literally 2 months later, I achieved another milestone and it was 10 years without watching a movie.
Wow.
Yeah. So December 15th was the last movie I saw. Mindful Manny, 456 days sober. Congratulations. That's
Time
awesome.
flies. Time
Yeah.
flies. There's
Yeah.
a lot of non-drinkers on this call, actually. How did you get that far, Manny? That's a long time. That was like
Yeah.
5 minutes ago. Time just goes. Like,
Yeah.
what even is time, right? That's a big topic of conversation, I think.
Yeah. So
But
Bill Walsh, I love a
yeah,
comment that he's really big on quotes and he's got quotes that really just hit the point on the point he's trying to make. And he says, days go slow, but years go fast.
yeah,
And if a person
I
can
can
get,
hear him. Yeah,
yeah, through the first year of sobriety, that's our toughest. But after that, the years just go. So
yeah, yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. Um, yeah. So, what are your upcoming like plans? Are you going to be in the mountains? And also, where are you? Because maybe we can introduce you to some people up there.
yeah, I'm in the Asheville area. I don't know if,
Yeah,
yeah.
I have
So
somebody amazing to introduce you to, actually, that's up
yeah.
there.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that'd be awesome. I would love
yeah.
to meet people here. Um, because of my sensitivity, I was traveling quite a bit the last few years, especially when you meet Bill Walsh because he's a machine. Like no, I've never met anybody like that guy. Anyways, um, and I tried to keep up with him, and in a lot of ways I can't, but because I'm so sensitive, it's hard to find the right foods for me. I'm in big cities where it's polluted, and although most people can't sense it, I can, and it takes a toll on my body. And so for this year, I made a commitment that I wasn't going to travel. Whatever I needed to do to build my business and get my work out there, I was just gonna do it online as much as possible. Just because, like I said, it just took a toll and it actually was having the opposite effect of what I wanted when I was going to all these events and seminars and things. And then my focus is also going to shift from going to a lot more business events and to more events that, what you're doing, like healing and consciousness, because those people resonate with what I'm doing a lot more than trying to go to a business event and trying to convince a person that, hey, this is what you need, this is what's holding you back, and so on. So that's what 2026 looks like for me, staying put and moving more into the conscious communities versus the business communities.
Yeah, same, same. That's same. Like I'm doing some stuff that's in, like the family office realm and stuff like that, and investor realm. But really, like my life is all surrounded by healers, and I finally like made friends near me, and like we were doing fires and stuff, and I'm like, this feels so good.
Yeah,
This is like my tribe, and yeah, I think one of the biggest things too is about getting seen, right? And it doesn't have to be in person.
yeah,
Like sometimes it's just getting on social media for you, Cam, based on
yeah,
who you are and how you are. Getting on social media and creating and being like, here I am, look at what I can do, and this is what I'm doing. And oh, I mean, you have so much to offer this world.
yeah,
Really, like with all that you're doing, all that you've done, what you're doing with your energy too, and it's so relatable. Last
yeah,
month I was in Dubai and I was eating all the sugar, all the, everything. And I was just up, 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 up. And actually, I was on the phone with Sid yesterday and I'm like, today I came down after 3 or 4 months
yeah.
being up, 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 up. Like kind of like just straight adrenaline for so many months. Like
You were in
after,
Dubai for 4 months?
no, 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 just
Uh,
in general, I was
yeah,
like up for, months. Up, up,
yeah,
up. Yeah, and
yeah,
again, it's not because I'm bipolar. I'm sensitive, but also I tapped into almost this like fire horse energy where I was like, we're gonna do this.
yeah. So this would be a good time to talk about working within the principles.
I love it.
And I want to help people understand. So where I get a lot of the success for myself as well as for my clients is I don't get caught up in a lot of in the overly motivation and inspiration and things that create short-term results. And I focus on the principles of the mind and body. I mean, we can work within the principles, we can get more sustainable results. And why the principles is important, I want to bring up Einstein. So we all know about Einstein. He was considered one of the biggest geniuses of the last century. In fact, I think he made Time Magazine's Man of the Century. And it's actually wild. He was unlike other scientists, let's say Michael Faraday, he was an experimental scientist. And then Galileo, he was an observational scientist. So he pointed his telescope at the night sky, and through his observations is where he got the ideas for his notoriety. And then Michael Faraday, going back to him, he was experimental. So he was doing a lot of experiments. Einstein was different. He was theoretical. So he thought about things. And he came up with some of the most groundbreaking ideas to make him Time's Man of the Century. And he started with the fundamental principle that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. And he hooked on that principle and never strayed from it. And when he thought, okay, if light can't travel faster than this, what would that mean for the universe? And that's where a lot of his ideas came from. And if we can apply that to the human experience, there are certain principles that we operate on. And if we can understand it and work within the principles, we can have better success. And one of the fundamental principles is, as it relates to emotions, is whatever goes up must come down. There's no if we're ads abandoned, it will eventually come down. So if we drink or take a stimulant to go up, like we're not going to stay up. We're going to come down. If we go to, let's say, something personal development, and there's a lot of motivation and inspiration being pumped into us, my experience has been afterward, people crash. Like, yeah, they have this high and it lasts for a few days, and then it's like, boom, they crash. And a lot of the thing that they got motivated to start falls off as well. And if we can work on maintaining our, what's the word, our more drive at a very consistent level, we'll be able to move through it and see through it as well. It's the same with television. You know, we can watch a really amazing movie and it floods us with all these amazing euphoric emotions, especially when we get to the end. And it's like, oh, wow, that was great. But once those emotions subside, we're going to feel down. And guess what? We want to do something to bring us up again. So we might watch another movie. And then this is how binging starts. And this is how addiction starts. It's because we're trying to stay at the high and not wanting to experience the down. So if a person can understand that when they are chasing a really big high, there's a good chance they're going to come down. And is it worth experiencing the other side, or what we're going to have to go through to bring us back up? If we could stay more even keel, I think that's the better road. Not to say we just stay flat, but instead of going in extremes, stay relatively, whatever. It's I think it's a better place to be.
I agree. That's kind of what I was like taught. Oh, it's 11:11. I love catching
Oh yeah.
11:11 on the round table, or if somebody
Oh,
says
nice.
it, it's cool. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I concur with that whole entire statement. At the same
Yeah.
time, the frequency of the earth is leveling up. So, like, I feel just so elevated every single day, which I hope that I stay here most days because
Yeah.
my past life was not a good place. And like I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. It's not like high like manic. It's just like happy every day. And
Yeah.
I wasn't used to that, to be honest with you. Like I was not used to that. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that, just basically as I continue to heal, and thank God for Healerverse, right? The amazing practitioners that literally have had my back, have had a lot of people's backs and have helped the world to level up and to heal. And everyone is so different and has different superpowers. I really
Yeah.
believe that has continued to reprogram my mind that, like, hey, actually, you can be happy every day.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
So yeah, I wanna, in case there was confusion, I wasn't saying don't be happy. Like happy is a state that we can maintain for an extended period.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking about is the overly heightened sense of ecstatic and ecstasy that we chase drugs, movies, alcohol, coffee, and all these other things for.
Ah,
Because when we get above that, then we're gonna have to eventually experience what's lower than happy. So it's possible to stay in a grounded sense of, what's the word, presence and joy, as well as motivation and drive that doesn't require going into these really extreme highs and lows.
I love that. And joy is such a beautiful word.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the things that you do in your daily practices in order to stay there and get there?
So this is really important. We don't just happen to be there on our own. Like we have to do work. And Brendan Burchard made a really great analogy. He said, power plants don't have energy, they make energy. So a lot of times we assume we should just naturally have a lot of energy or have that state and we should be there all the time. But that's just not the way the mind and body work. We're working within the principles. Within the principles, we need to do things to make sure we can get that. And what I found is, this is another principle, is our level of joy is directly proportional to the pain that we put in to get it. And so everyone has experience where they studied or a lot for an exam or finals. They were in a lot of pain. It sucked. They didn't want to be there. And then once finals was over, they felt this joy. Like it was great. And I'll share an experience from my journey.
Really quickly, before you share the experience, can you re-quote that again so I
Yes,
can write it down? Our
yes.
level of joy is directly proportionate to.
They're directly proportional to the pain we put in to get it. Yeah. So that was one example, a person studying. I wanted to give an example we could all resonate with. I'll give my example. So when I started my journey of 100 countries, I actually started in Medellin, Colombia. And 2 weeks later, I took an overnight bus to Santa Marta, and I was there for 2 weeks. And then I took another bus to Cartagena. And from there, I took a catamaran to Panama. And it was a time of the year where the waters are so rough. Most of the captains don't do that journey, but I found one person willing to do it, and I'm like, I'm going to do it. And it was one of the toughest experiences on sea I've ever been on. Then I got to Panama. From there, I went to Boca del Toro and then into Costa Rica. 6 weeks without hot water. And then when I got to Costa Rica, the capital, San Juan, I believe, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pay a few bucks extra and stay in a nicer hostel. And this hostel not only had hot water, but it had two knobs so I could control the temperature of the water. Because prior to that, most of the places I went to had one knob, and whatever temperature the water came out was what came out, and it was usually freezing cold. And I remember that day because when I had that hot shower, I felt like I won the lottery. Like I remember going on Facebook telling people about it, like it felt so exhilarating. And I thought to myself, why did that hot water feel so good? Like I've had hot waters before, hot showers before, and to the point where I thought it was my God given right. Well, that particular one felt so good because I went through the pain of no hot showers or even showers for 6 weeks. So when I had it, it was like completely joyous. And this principle applies to everything we do. The joy that we're seeking, if we try to cheat the principle by getting the joy by watching a movie or drinking coffee or taking stimulants or all of that, we're going to pay that price. But if we put in the pain, we get that natural joy. So this is how I approach what I do day to day. So I have a morning routine where I do various things like self-talk, visualization. I have a practice where I stretch as well as do some exercises and things of that nature. And that helps me stay even keeled throughout the day and on a regular basis. Plus, I go do social dancing. I also do rock climbing and things of that nature. And that gives me the things my body wants to feel good. The social dancing is amazing. I think everybody should be social dancing. In fact, in my 100 country journey, I found that most places have some sort of dance that's unique to them, whereas here we don't have that. And I say social because you want something that's partner dancing where you can get the physical contact, because that's what our body really, really yearns. In fact, if we get enough physical contact throughout the day, we wouldn't need all these other things to stay happy and even keel and motivated and driven. And so, again, dancing is not easy to learn, but I went through the pain to learn it so I can experience the joy. And rock climbing, it's not easy. You got to put some work, but I put in that pain. So afterwards, I feel joy. And I also do the cold plunge and sauna because I put in the pain of feeling the cold water. And then when I get out, I experience the joy. So if we can work within this principle, we can maintain that joy that we're wanting in a very healthy and sustainable way.
Drop the mic.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean having that barometer too, right? Like
yeah,
of the darkest moments and then being able to feel the joy and then Also, I have found, and I don't believe this is self-fulfilling prophecy, but that literally sometimes like life is very cyclical, and then there's different levels of pain, and there's always tests. And I just happen to notice this from observing and also observing my own life since I started healing myself, right? Like basically there's like tests right before it gets even better. And we're
Okay.
always upgrading and upgrading. And like different levels of fear kind of come with that too. Like
Yes.
new fears come up, and then it's like, oh, and then what used to be scary is not scary at all
No.
anymore.
Yeah. So prior to doing the emotional work and after doing the books, I talked about a concept called internal resistance, which answered the question I had my whole life. And that is, why is it if I want to do something, I know what to do, I know how to do it, and I have the motivation to do it, but for one reason or another, I can or don't do it. And I realized there's a part of our brain designed to hold us back and is actively working to hold us back. And I call this part resistance. And it's this brick wall that we hit anytime that we want to do something, but we can't, no matter how much we want to do it. So, two things about this. One, we all experience resistance. Oftentimes, we'll see somebody who is doing really well and life seems so effortless for them. And they might not have resistance in that specific area we're looking at, but they'll likely have resistance in other areas where they don't actually focus on. One. Two is that our resistance, once we get through one resistance, our resistance doesn't go away. Every time we're getting to another level, there is new resistance that we experience. And what's really interesting to know about that is that every time we're getting to the next level, right when we're about to get to the next level, our brain makes a last ditch effort to pull us back. And that's when we start having the questions of what am I doing? Should I continue? This isn't working. Is this even fulfilling? And those thoughts may seem like they're your thoughts, but they're really the thoughts of resistance. And if we follow those thoughts, then resistance wins. But if we understand, oh, okay, this is likely coming up because I'm about to get to the next level and I should actually stay with it. And that's how we get to the next level and the next level. Yeah.
Ugh, I'm celebrating you so big right now. Like, boom.
Yeah.
Boom. Yes.
Damn.
Yes. That's my experience too. That's my experience too. And
Yeah.
yeah. And it's cool because like, when we are able to go into our subconscious mind and also just observe the way we move, the way others move. And I feel like you have that superpower is seeing things that are happening that other people don't notice. You have that superpower big time.
So
Yeah,
thank you
like
very
you
much.
see things. Yeah, 100%.
So
Like,
this was, go ahead.
yeah, you see things that other people don't. And yeah, and maybe it doesn't always seem like you see the things, but you see the things.
So this is interesting that you bring that
Yeah.
up because this
Uh-huh.
thing I struggle with just very recently, in fact, just a few months ago. And a person might ask, why would you struggle with that? That's a superpower. And what I struggle with is because I see things, especially in people, so deeply that they don't see it in themselves. And I'm usually talking to that person versus the person they think they are. And when I sometimes work with them, I might talk about things that they're not ready for. And that was a challenge because, and a woman I met recently, she's like, Cam, you see things so deep that people don't see it in themselves. So you just have to temper it a little bit. I'm like, ah, okay. So now I've learned that, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I love this. I love this. I love where this is going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess too, like helping people to find the best version of themselves sometimes isn't always going to be like what they want to see and hear, but ultimately it's super important that that you are there for them and
Yeah.
especially if it's your client, you know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah.
paying you basically to support them, to bring
Yeah.
out the best in them. So, hey, maybe we could tweak this and like commending like celebrating them for the things that are working so well for them. Like if
Yeah.
I told you I ate a box of cookies yesterday, Trish, like maybe you can stop yourself first. And that really did happen, by the way. So
Did you? Uh,
I consciously drove to the grocery store and I knew
if
damn well what I was doing too. And I'm like, you know what? I know exactly what I'm doing right now, right? And maybe it's really not that bad, right?
yeah.
But yeah, I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning. So
Well, if we were hanging and talking more, that wouldn't have happened because I wouldn't have allowed it.
exactly.
But
Exactly.
this is a good thing to use to understand impulses because
Uh-huh.
when we have that impulse, an impulse can make us do something where we can see we shouldn't be doing it, yet we're still doing it and we're not able to stop doing it.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
could
what,
have stopped. That's the difference. But it's great to have the awareness. I think
yeah,
what a lot of people are struggling with right now that you can be super helpful with for people is not having the awareness and
yeah,
really helping people at any and every level to be able to get some more awareness. And I
mm.
also love, Cam, that you named it resistance. My name for that is Bertha. And
yeah,
and it's so cool. Like, you know, like I like to have a name for it. And
yeah,
then Bertha is a bunch of stuff. It's the alter ego. It's the my addiction. It's
yeah,
my unawareness actually, like of it. And it's similar to just when I am operating on like robot mode where I'm just going and I'm not conscious and I don't actually know what I'm doing throughout the day. Like
yeah.
resistance at Bertha and all that, they sit together. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cool to put a name to it because then it becomes a lot more real to us instead of it just being this process or this trigger. It's like, oh, it's a thing, and our mind likes concrete things. So if we can give a name, and then what's really cool about giving a name to it is I don't know if you do this, but you can actually talk to it. It's like,
Yep.
hey, Bertha, I see what you're doing. You know what happens when we go down this road. Like, is this the road that we want to go down? Because then we have to deal with that. And Bertha might say, yeah, this is the road we're going to go. But at least you can kind of have a conversation where the next time you have a conversation, she might say, you know what, the last time was pretty rough. So yeah, thank you for bringing awareness to this. And Bertha might change courses. So it really does. I'm a firm believer that there is no one you inside you. So there's multiple Trishes inside your head, Trish. And those Trishas have different drives and needs and wants. And it helps to kind of recognize that it's like, oh, why am I doing this when I don't want to? It's like, it's not me wanting doing it. It's another part of me that wants to do it. Maybe I could talk to it. Maybe I can, approach it differently. So yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. And obviously, you guys can message Cam on Healerverse and his social media channels. Do you want to share what your website is and how people can get in touch with you besides Healerverse?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
usually, when I do podcasts, I will usually change my profile name. So it's got my website, and I didn't do that because this way, then,
KamKnight.com with double K, baby.
yeah. So people can go to Kam Knight. I've got a lot of good stuff. So one, I have 3 free gifts for everybody. The first is called Prompt Engineering for Your Mind. The human brain was the original ChatGPT, and we can prompt it to give us answers and solutions. And just like ChatGPT, or unlike ChatGPT, we can actually prompt our brain to help us take action on those things. First guide. The second guide is building skills and habits in your sleep. It's possible if we can work on rewiring our unconscious that we can move in the direction that we want. And the second guide will do that. The third guide is a deeper dive into the topic of internal resistance. I kind of just talked about a very surface level, but it goes into our wants and how our own wants can create challenges in our lives and the different reasons resistance comes up, as well as the tricks of resistance. And they can get all those 3 free guides on my website at kamknight.com. Plus, if anybody wants to do one-on-one work with me, I developed a method to help people go into their unconscious, and we work on their resistance and challenges at the unconscious level. It's a much more direct and quicker way to work through our blocks. In fact, it just takes a few sessions versus years in coaching and other work a person might be stuck with. And they can go to coach@kamknight.com. And then I also have that course, Conquer Internal Resistance, and they can get more information on that at kamknight.com as well.
Can I just bring up one thing before we wrap this up? And we always talk offline after if anybody wants to stay. Sometimes it goes on for 7 hours. Seriously.
Really?
But I believe the last book that you wrote was speed reading. Is that right?
So interestingly, it was one of the last books I wrote.
Okay.
I took on the audacious goal of writing 2 books at the same time, concentration and speed reading. And I wrote morning and night for 2 years to get them done. And concentration is really my proudest work, and speed reading is my most successful work. So, yeah.
Amazing. And we can find all of that information on your website as well.
Yep. You can get all my books on my website. You can get the course on my website and the one-on-one work on my website, as well as the 3 free gifts.
Thank you so much. So again, his website is kamknight.com, K-A-M, oh geez, it's Mercury retrograde for another 8 hours or something.
kamknight.com.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone, for hopping on. It was great having you all here. So that was fun.
Thank you.